Well, so William Mike, please join them this evening till you drop, not dead, alive. And it's Adum Praise 2018 taking place at the Perez Dome. Please, the tickets are still available from the X of Joy FM and the relevant outlets for you to buy. All of us have tickets. Mama Vio Sabwaji, who is here. Good morning to you, Mama Vio Sabwaji.
Good morning, how are you?
Yeah, I love your dress.
Well, thank you.
Kofi.
On Fridays, I rock Ajoyeboa, right?
Ajoyeboa.
This is another
based in
design.
Where's she located? Where's she operating from?
West Legon.
West Legon.
Oh, so we're both wrong. I was going to Asham and she was going to Ashongman.
Ashongman.
Meanwhile, the woman is in West Legon.
West Legon, right?
They sent the customers elsewhere.
We apologize.
West Legon is closer to
Ashongman.
No.
No.
Hacho, maybe.
No, you don't win this one.
Kofi, what's up? Yeah.
Daddy Ruru.
Your name is, what's his name?
Blazing.
Ah, okay.
And Mama Vislington.
Mama Vislington.
So who gave us the names? You did?
He did.
Okay.
You're welcome.
I like it.
He calls me Daddy Roro.
Yeah.
I hate the name. Really.
That's why it's here to stay.
Sounds like a sugar daddy.
Yeah.
Well,
Daddy Roro.
Daddy
yeah.
Ruru.
Sugar Daddy means I'm a sponsor.
What inspired him by
So when I mention, you have
to
to.
all those I sponsor out there.
When I mention, you have to pull some,
Yeah.
Some
Daddy
cash,
Roro.
some cash.
Let it flow.
I'm already sponsoring people out there. To all those I sponsor.
Liar.
Okay, so let's look at it.
Yeah, let's have a look at the papers. I'll run through some headlines quickly. Germany pledges support for Ghana's educational and energy sectors is on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. There are many other stories there, including this one. Zongo minister applauds completion of AstroTurf parks and commends Wembley for executing job on schedule. It's interesting because another newspaper has a contradicting headline about the story. I'm sure we'll get to it. Also, Passover cargo tracking note, CTN. Government stops takeoff and averts shutdown of shops by Guta and others. That, of course, we discussed yesterday. On the back page of the Ghanaian Times, Ghana risks missing universal health coverage by 2030. And 11 communities appeal for rehabilitation of VEA, or is it Via Irrigation Project. Business and Financial Times has a few interesting headlines of their own. A Greek census needs more clarity to be successful. NBC Africa is quoted as saying that. Also, MTN raises 1.1 billion Ghana cedis in IPO, but guess what? They've still missed their mark by 67%.
That's whopping.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of it being technically successful, it was. But they offered a certain amount of shares, certain value of shares, and they were able to raise 33% of what they required. So about 1/3 of what they needed. So more about that later. But banner headline in the Business and Financial Times, audit service to scrutinize road projects. And the story is on page 2. Audit service needs some scrutiny of their own apparently, but also CTN implementation postponed to October 15.
All right, so let me do the Daily Dispatch newspaper. The front page story is quite interesting. Before I talk about the main story, let's look at GNPC's Takrade property is $9.3 million, not $7.5 million, according to MP.
Yes. Somebody calculated all the taxes on it, the withholding tax.
And then also we have Attorney General on prosecutions in Nana's expose. All right, about the main story. We have to take a look at that. As Fitch warns government on that Bauxite deal, which according to what the agreement is worth, according to the master agreement, is worth some $2.8 billion US. We've already gotten an approval for 500 million already, and the Chinese firm likely to take over Tema Port if the prices of bauxite fall on the world market. They are not able to mine enough to meet their threshold per each of the payments, and well, we'll discuss this.
We can take a look at the daily guide, and that's of the weekend today. The daily guide says that bauxite story you spoke about shortly. NDC works to stop 54 projects from Chinese deal, and VW plant coming. German Chancellor breaks news, and Babin to reveal right information. E-waste recycling plant for Agboblushi also on the front page of the Daily Guide. The back page says Waris marriage hits rocks. That is Ghana Black Star striker Abdul Majid Waris. BCM Ghana flies golf trio for Eisenhower Trophy, also on the back page. Let's quickly do that of the weekend today. It says Becker's surprise bridal shower, also on the front page. Land guards on rampage at Kokrobite. There's a photograph of the IGP. And health alert manhole spills phases on Tema streets, being reported by the weekend.
All right, I'll do the Daily Graphic and the Finder newspaper. The graphic first on the front page. VW to set up in Ghana, Germany to also supply technologies for power plant and vaccine factory. A photograph of President Akufo-Addo chatting with the Chancellor, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who paid us a day's visit yesterday. So this was at the Jubilee House. Also on the front page, Shipping Association's call of protest. Abdul Hamid happy with construction of astroturfs in Zongo communities. Ghana extends continental shelf, according to the Ministry of Energy. Back page of the paper, fishermen demonstrate against unfair treatment on Volta Lake. And then we go to the Finder newspaper. Front page of the Finder, 3 German companies to invest in Ghana in energy, automobile and pharmaceutical sectors. Vetting of small-scale miners begin Monday. GRA postpones implementation of CTN to October 15. MTN raises 1.15 billion Ghana cedis from IPO, misses 3.48 billion Ghana cedis targets. That's it for the Finder.
All right. Did any of you buy shares in MTN during the?
No, I didn't.
I considered
IPO?
it, but I didn't. Oh, you did?
Yeah. No, I didn't. I also considered it. I looked at some information I was given from the analysts.
I'm sure we all contributed to the 67% you spoke of.
I thought it was going to be
didn't
over.
contribute.
I thought it was going to be oversubscribed, actually.
I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be oversubscribed.
I considered it too.
And
I
I'll be
considered
honest
it
with
too.
you, it is that prospect of oversubscription that some analysts based their advice on to their clients. MTN seemed like such a sure thing.
Yeah.
So the expectation was that the returns would be slower than people would imagine because it would be such a certainty. But I think somehow it's just not come out the way. But, well, it's on the market, right? So let's see what happens in the coming weeks.
Absolutely.
And so forth.
Yeah, but the activations were right too. So I was wondering, because they were almost everywhere. They were even on the cable networks, the international cable networks.
Caller tunes.
Yeah, they were
Couldn't you
everywhere.
have a situation where they set very high targets for themselves, perhaps?
No, it could be that
Well, they
perhaps
placed a high value on their shares.
it could
they
be,
certainly did.
well,
and
it could be that income levels also may have dropped, or perhaps people don't have enough surplus. to
Charlie,
be
people
investing.
do.
I am surprised. I've got to tell you, I'm surprised, and I expect that the market didn't anticipate this, level of performance. But look, let's be fair to them, okay? Even though they didn't hit
They still
their,
got $200
target,
million.
yeah, they actually got 1.5 billion Ghana cedis, which exceeds the minimum of 348 million Ghana cedis, or 10% of the total required, which is all you need in order to call your IPO successful.
Yeah.
If you're able to push 10% of your shares in your IPO, you're a success. But the IPO is only the initial offer. The thing is on the market. So the 67% is in play and available to all of us who may be interested in picking up shares. Yeah, so that's MTN. Audit service, though, they're on a rampage, if you will, as much as an auditor can rampage. But they are seeking to scrutinize road projects. Now, you'll recall that the Auditor General, was it earlier this year, we saw some reports that came out from a special audit exercise that the Vice President commissioned into existing contracts, and some serious revelations of overpayments and so forth that were brought to light by the audit service, actually by the Auditor General's department. And now what they want to do is scrutinize the actual projects, go even further to see those that are currently in let's say, in effect, to see exactly how they are being serviced and whether the work is being done as per the.
Are we not giving too much work to the Auditor General? I mean, whoever effects payment, the assumption is that that person should go to check whether you've done the work before effecting the payment. The Auditor General comes in maybe after the financial year to check your books whether the payments went where they were supposed to go and the receipts are all available. Why do we want the Auditor General to now go a step further to check the same projects?
Well, I hope they're not actually, walking around looking at the road projects. I hope that there is a way of doing this through the books.
They actually tend to go to the project itself, because I recall one of our colleagues had an interview with him. It says they will even be checking the thickness of the concrete for even buildings.
But that tells you that tells you that our institutions just don't do their jobs.
Yeah, and that is why one man can't solve the problem.
The auditor now has to come and check the thickness of. So the person that we are paying, the agents that we are paying to supervise the contract on our behalf,
and
the Roads and Highways Authority.
They're called the consultants.
Yes, the consultants, the Roads and Highways Authority, the Roads Ministry. All these people swimming about in shirt and tie, collecting salary every month.
Yeah.
Now the Auditor General's department is coming to check the thickness of bitumen.
I think it should focus on sanctioning those who give the approval for payments when the work is not up to the level that it's supposed to be up to, as signing the agreement. I think that will help his office than going directly.
But it also speaks about the level of complicity of the various institutions that need to have oversight responsibility in many other things across the country. We're still having or grappling with the banking issue. And the banking crisis has come to the fore because people at the Bank of Ghana failed to perhaps use the hammer right on the nail that needed to be done, and call the shot and say that, look, before you get to this threshold, we're sanctioning you because you flouted our regulations. And so you get to also find the same institutions being complicit at the ports. People import things. At the same time, we want to make sure expired products don't come into our country. But there are people at the port who are supposed to make sure that those expired goods don't come onto the market. And they do. We have it everywhere. The roadworthy of your car. It's supposed to be done in the presence of an officer with your vehicle, not you being somewhere.
Have you heard stories of the vehicles not even going there for testing?
Well,
So
not you being in your office and you,
the
Joseph Akabe or
green,
Roland
green
Walker,
card or blue card.
they just bring you, documents and I are ready.
You just put
and
the
we're
money
all
in there.
happy.
Yeah.
You see, the difference that those in the more advanced economies make is that everybody is well aware that whatever I'm doing is contrary to a regulation. But for us, we condone the things that are done wrong, and that's our difficulty.
Yes, and then pastors and chiefs will come and beg for you if you are caught and fired for doing the wrong thing.
They will not only come and beg; they'll climb the pulpit.
Yes, and preach about it. And
either you shut up or God is
You're
good.
done?
Indeed, all the time. All right, then let's move on to other papers. I think these are repeated in
Daily
many
Graphic
others.
newspaper, page 3, Germany. Ghana and Germany yesterday signed 3 memoranda of understanding for the establishment of an automobile assembly plant, the supply of technologies for the construction of a hybrid solar hydropower plant, and the supply of technologies for the construction of a vaccine factory in Ghana. It actually came with Angela Merkel, who paid us a visit. So the backstory that we're hearing is the fact that these European countries are trying to prevent illegal migration, and they've realized that you can make all the laws and all the rules sitting in your country and say you're preventing people from coming, but if you don't change the narrative in the countries where these illegal migrants come from, then the situation would persist.
Well, I don't think that is necessarily influencing their thinking. I mean, the company stands to benefit a lot.
You don't think so?
It's a good way. Else they are being
We're
overly
not such
tight
a big
on.
market.
So I don't want you to come to my country, so I'm coming down to set up businesses here. But the companies are making good money too in setting up,
Well,
especially when in such places it's easier to set up because the government will give you lots of waivers that they may not be getting if they are to move to the US or elsewhere. So there is the economic side and obviously preventing you from coming to their country. But I think that is not the main reason. But lots of commentary on social media on
I mean, because if you look at the fact that Theresa May is also going around, I mean, this is her first visit as Prime Minister. She went to South Africa, she went to Nigeria as well, she went to Kenya, And now they are not promising to give us aid. They are not giving us monies. They are trying to do something on the continent. And this is something they should have done a long time ago.
Yeah, but you see, it's what we were talking about the other day. They can't win if they try with money. The Chinese
have lots of it.
Premier hasn't been to Ghana. I haven't seen him anywhere in Africa. But the money is coming. And so they are getting what they want. They are getting great deals like this bauxite deal.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you read that Fitch report, you realize that, look, it is smart business for them. And we now have to hope that the market goes in our favor, that even the mining process works. You know, because anything could mess that up too.
Yeah.
And if they are unable to get the amounts that they anticipate or that we said are there, you know, then we're in trouble.
There's a forum in China, by the way, for African leaders. I think it's something that happens. So whilst
that's what the president
are coming to Africa, I think in the next week or two or something like that, we'll see African leaders go to China for that forum.
Indeed,
and there we're told that deals are signed, like promises are made, and China is making.
In fact, the information minister designate says the president will be finalizing the Sino-Hydro agreement
in China
when he goes to China.
And there's always great literature on the Chinese invasion into Africa, especially by great writers in the UK newspapers, whether the BBC or the Guardian elsewhere, and they give you vivid attempts by the Chinese since the beginning of the 2000s to make those incursions into the various economies of Africa. When they come, they don't come with all these things about transparency, proper good governance. They don't mind. Look, they are in the jungles of the DRC, mining diamonds and other ores, and they don't mind whether what's the gentleman's name? Is it Joseph Kabila or whoever it is? Is misgoverning?
Their risk tolerance level are very
so
high.
all they do is they come through Kutuka. Whether police are beating people on the road, they just go through Cape Coast, go through Western Region, go and sit in the middle of the Ankobra and mine the gold and go away just like that. They bother nobody. They eat their own food. They live in very shanty, small cubicles and take the money away. It's something that we have not averred our minds to. Sure. You know, the narrative has always been that unlike the Europeans, they are supposed to be so-called technology transfer. They don't give us any technology. They don't bring us anything. They don't involve us in anything that they do. And our government need to avert their mind to some of these developments, like perhaps maybe what Paul Kagame is doing, etc. I think that's the best.
All right, there's a story on page 16. I have to move on because there's a story also on the back page I think is important. Ghana has acquired extra maritime space, extending its continental shelf by 250,000 square kilometers more. The Ministry of Energy has announced every country is entitled to an initial 200 nautical miles of continental shelf at its shoreline, but it can apply to the United Nations for extension when the need arises, and that's what we seem to have done. Story filed by our friend Alfo Doche Kobla Aklobato in the Western region. And then Guzitano becomes 11th presidential aspirant of the NDC. But the back page of the graphic, hundreds of fishermen affected by the harvesting of trees in the Volta Lake last Wednesday demonstrated at Akating in the Upper Manya Krobo districts in the Eastern region to register their displeasure with the ongoing stamp harvesting in the Lake of Dedeso Holdings. So that story is fully on the back page of the paper. You can read on to get a better understanding of their concerns.
Yeah.
Right, okay, let's do one more story.
The NDC works to stop 54 projects from Chinese deal. That story is in the Daily Guide newspaper. So it says information reaching Daily Guide indicates that over 53 major infrastructure projects are expected to be executed across the country with about $500 million. That's what Roland spoke about earlier, that Parliament had approved that. But this story here is saying that the minority want to halt the project. So the story is suggesting that they are.
I doubt if they will succeed
in halting it.
Is it halting, or they just want it reclassified as a loan? Even though, if you read the Fitch reports, they're saying that, well, it's really not like a normal loan in the sense.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, halting is perhaps an exaggeration, but it will certainly have an effect on whether or not we can do
Yeah.
these projects if the opposition gets their way. Because if these things are reclassified as loans, then our debt to GDP ratio becomes madness.
It affects our
Not just-
ratings too.
Indeed. But so apart from our ratings, which is a big and important, effect.
You know very well that we need to meet is to exit the program.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's my point.
That's
the
right.
IMF. So actually, we could end up in a situation where the IMF suddenly steps back in a big way and says, okay, you need to put a halt on some of these things in order to rationalize your
It's
books.
just barter. Exchange is no robbery.
It's not just barter. That is the
But
reality of it.
Mama's friend has an interesting opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says whether Bata or Lo
Joe
is getting votes in his constituency. I mean, he doesn't care how you classify.
Yeah,
it.
and in fact, that is likely to be the attitude of most Ghanaians.
Yeah.
But look, I want
Yeah.
the development.
I have seen the list of the projects. Lots of roads, bridges in almost every constituency.
But we
in
have to
the
we
country.
have to clarify. And I remember I was part of the initial travels to China when the Atamios, was it 2 billion we're supposed
The
to take?
CMB.
Okay. Is it 3 billion? This is what they
The
do.
CMB.
You know, there's a master facility agreement. Then in the master facility agreement, there are other smaller, like the
Yeah,
500 one.
yeah,
And each of those agreements have their own conditionalities. So you have your master facility agreement, they will sign and give you all the niceties and the nice words. But for you to be able to get to the next level of the agreement, you need to satisfy everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
In fact,
so,
one of
so,
the
so,
requirements
and
was
the reason.
passing that, in fact, they've passed an act setting up the Bauxite company. They had to pass it
yeah.
in time before they could even sign
Yeah.
the deal and everything.
So for example, when they have approved only, if it's, I don't know how many smaller agreements are in this one, but if there are 10 and they approved only 2, by the time they get to this, oh, we've been mining your thing, but so far the ounces we're getting are small.
Yeah.
So you have to increase it a bit.
Yeah.
And the Chinese have a way of, they're smart.
I think one thing we can be certain of is that government needs this deal badly because the roads are not being constructed. We know
That's
that for a
right.
fact.
And we don't have the money.
Yes, we don't have the money to do that. We are doing the social intervention. So this is more or less like what will bring the project. So if it doesn't come, then come 2020, there will be really nothing to show.
Let's not take this away from government. It's an ingenious way of getting around the funding problem. But it comes with a certain risk, and we do have to ask questions about whether we properly assessed that risk and whether indeed we won't end up financially worse off as a nation and perhaps indebted to China in a way that might end up with them placing their hands on
some of our
valuable
assets.
state assets. So yeah, let's see how it pans out.
So that is it for the daily guide.
Well, we have to do online. And Kojo, let's do a couple of stories before we go.
Sure. Let's have a look at what we have here. African governments urged to increase investments in agriculture technology. Also, on myjoyonline.com, Mahama's 2020 eligibility rests with Parliament, according to Ken Crunchy. Apparently, there's a clause in the Constitution that might actually bar former President Mahama from contesting again unless Parliament permits him.
Who's saying that?
Ken Crunchy. Let's have a look and let's have a look at that clause when we can and see if he's actually onto something. My gosh, that would be a bit of a spanner in the works. Also, Attorney General not ruling out insider job in break-ins, and Gloria Kufu is the one saying this. Edward Bauer writes, GNPC statement on global haulage raises questions. Edward Bauer, of course, is with the NDC in Parliament. Wapole Rector locked out of office despite court ruling. Rafiq Salam brought those details, and there are more on myjoyonline.com. Also, reduce cost per, what's this one? Yidi Construction Forum sheds light on employment challenges. And reduce cost per voter by half in 2020. Ex-CDD boss challenges the new EC leadership. Now that's quite a task. Professor Jimabwedi also dissects Ghana's 25 years of democracy in 1 hour in a very fascinating speech, the Krunti Nyakwemu lecture. Also, 35% income tax hits MPs as they lament the 2,000 Ghana cedi cut in salaries. Abafigbe. What does Abafigbe mean?
It means what, Roland?
Abafigbe.
What does it mean?
I heard it used and I thought I'll try it today and see if I can.
So
About
use it
fake
in
bay.
context. Yeah, use it.
So
now that you know.
try
the
it.
Let me read the story again. Where is it? Let's scroll up. Let's go up. Yeah, here we are. Up. There we are. 35% income tax hits MPs as they lament 2,000 Ghana cedi cut in salaries. Did I get it right?
Yeah, you did.
No.
Oh.
So, could you?
I mean, you got it right if you're on the
if
part
you
of.
had said MPs react or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's
still,
what
but
it is.
that what
So
it
it
is?
depends on.
The
Let's
MPs are lamenting.
say he's an MPP. So
So the
Shoving it
35
down their
If you had
spine.
said MPs fights GRA.
They are lamenting.
Then you say,
Oh, they're fighting. Yeah.
So there has to be like some conflict
Yes.
in order for the
Some
agreement,
animosity, you know.
like two strong sides.
in order for the agreement
to
to
do something.
apply.
Exactly.
I see.
The,
I
the
see.
those
ground
others-
will have to shake.
But if the meaning of a bafegbe is obey butu butu, then yes, obey butu butu won't kotokum. You know, with a 2,000 cedi reduction in their take-home pay.
Well, Marvin, let's do the BBC.
Okay.
Oh, so Trump threatens to pull out of WTO. That's the World Trade Organization. This was
I want him to pull out.
back in
Are they always in the
1994, I think.
Done it,
But they say this
don't approve of
this is some kind of strategy. He has this strategy, so he says something that is
Everybody's panicking
and then you kind of
at his beck and call.
make another deal.
Right.
So even if he doesn't really get his way, at least
He gets
the
a
thing
better
was
agreement.
renegotiated somehow, and it's more like a win-win. But people say that he has a point because anytime the U.S. has been taken on, they lose their cases at the World Trade Organization, and it's only when they complain then they win. So there's
They've
something
been threatening to
in
pull
there.
out, and sometimes even the smaller agreements and things, they're never part.
All right, and then Uganda pop star Bobby Wine has been in the news for like forever, right? But there are other MPs in Uganda involved in his situation. Yesterday, we were told he was stopped at the airport. Not stopped necessarily.
From going for medical treatment?
Yeah, they say he was going for medical treatment because, as you know, when he was released, he was in clutches, and you know, the allegation is that he was beaten badly. And so he wanted to seek medical attention elsewhere. They prevented him from going through the VVIP, and then he was going through normal checking. They said, no, you need clearance from the police, and then before he knew, people had come to carry him away. Police people took him in an ambulance, and they went round for about 30 minutes, and then allegedly, because this is what's being reported, and then they finally went to put him in a facility, a hospital.
Wow.
So that's it. But he's not alone. There are other MPs as well who are in the same hospital as him. So that's some Ugandan news for you.
Yeah, shows some of the things that happen in
intoxication
Africa.
of Bobby Wine.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
So we've got sports. Yesterday, the Champions League draw came out. And I'm not excited about Manchester United. I think we'll perform very poorly. I'm only excited that Ronaldo is coming back home somehow because we're in the same
Coming to put
group.
like 2 or 3 goals in your net.
Yeah, who cares? We
Old Trafford.
still love him. As for United, yeah, Charlie, we are some rubbish team this season.
But the
We're
season
in the
just
same
started.
group as Juve.
It's just 3 matches into the season.
I think
You can't make those conclusions.
Mamavi is doing what they call pulling an 8 Mile. Have you watched 8 Mile? It's a movie starring Eminem.
Yeah.
Where he does these rap battles, and in the final battle he goes up against like the best rapper in the area, who is very good at putting people down and dissing people. So Eminem's strategy is that he disses himself.
He talks about the things he expects
That's
the guy
right.
to talk about.
So that the guy has nothing to say. Mama V is trying
It's
to pull an
preempting.
8 Mile on us by dissing her own team, so we don't have anything.
That's a good
to say.
Sansu strategy.
I'm
Three.
excited though because yesterday Roger Federer went through straight sets. We're talking the US Open, and I know Benedict would make me smile with a replay of some of the.
We like the Manchester.
He says he doesn't have tennis.
Manchester. Okay, so I'll do the tennis news.
He doesn't have tennis.
Quickly though, you know when Jose Mourinho in the press conference said 3, you know what 3 means? Do you know what I expected him to say? I expected him to say, you know what 3 means?
Yes,
God
3.
is good God is good.
God is good.
God is good.
We are not used to that.
Well, just before we go, yesterday was Seduji Augusta Goba of Martin de Porres. It was your birthday, and your dad wanted to wish you a happy birthday. Roland did that, but I wanted to add my voice to it. So belated birthday to you, Seduji Augusta Goba of Martin de Porres, JHS. Belated birthday.
Guess who's celebrating their 5th wedding anniversary? Osofo Ebenezer Obing Tieku. He's one of our most avid viewers. He watches us every day. Loves what we do.
In Cape Coast?
In Kufuridia.
Oh, okay.
Ebenezer Obing Tieku and his wife have been married for 5 years now.
Wow.
Blissfully married.
That's a long time.
Congratulations.
Yes, very well done.
Enjoy the rest of the years
Not yet
ahead.
5 years. So we have this weekend.
Yes.
Today is Orange Friday. Afashe. Cape Coast.
Yeah, but before Afashe, we have to go to the Perez Dome.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Today. Only 60
Yeah,
Ghana
Afashe.
cedis. If you don't have a ticket, grab a ticket before 6 o'clock. Yeah.
And we'll see you there tonight.
Definitely. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll have all the latest sports highlights with Benedict also.